Everyone's been asking me what's been happening about the Indigo flight cancellations. Indigo is an airline in India, and there's been an issue where Indigo recently cancelled thousands of domestic flights, leaving travelers stranded across major cities and traveling to different cities to take an Emirates flight to come into Dubai, etc. Now, the disruption for a change wasn't weather or technical. It came from a new pilot rest and duty rule combined with serious shortage of pilots that Indigo has. So let's just break down what happened and why this was largely avoidable and whether this kind of situation has happened elsewhere in the world. Now, what triggered the Indigo flight cancellations? On the 1st of November 2025, India's aviation regulator, the DGCA, enforced updated flight duty time limitation rules to improve pilot safety, limiting duty hours and mandating longer rest periods between flights. The rules included strict caps on consecutive night flights, requiring pilots obviously to have adequate rest, which they need, meaning pilots can't be rostered for back-to-back and long travel days, etc. Indigo failed to recruit and roster up enough pilots to cover obviously its large network. It is India's largest domestic airline. And as a result of that, there were so many cancelled flights. At one point, I know one of my friends said there was over 1,000 flights cancelled. Now, this is the law. So the FDTL, or this rule, updates limits on how many hours and rotations pilots can fly, and it is a law that is required to be complied with. So when an airline doesn't comply with the law, it affects, and basically the regulator, the DGCA, clamped down on Indigo. It said it had too few pilots, it cannot roster them legally, and that's kind of what happened. So under hiring was really the issue, and the law and the regulator clamped down on Indigo in this occasion, and the DGCA inspectors overseeing the transition said there was no way they were going to have a crisis as a result, and it was better that the airline acknowledged that this was a misjudgment on their part, etc., which is in a way great to see that a regulator took such a hard stance. And India's aviation regulator has sort of issued what we call a show cause notice to Indigo under the law, ordering a 5% reduction in daily Indigo flights to help stabilize operations. There are some negotiations back and forth on granting some sort of temporary exemptions and things like that, but obviously safety needs to be balanced with operational continuity in an airline. Now, surprisingly, this has happened elsewhere, though you may not think it has, but it has, and pilot shortages and rule changes caused disruptions previously in Canada, where pilot fatigue rules were under review, and the Canadian transport regulator had to reevaluate these pilot fatigue rules. But air travel has become such an everyday thing. It's almost like taking a bus to work or a bus to school like we used to, especially in a country like India, where there are lots of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities that are being linked by Indigo and some of the other airlines, where people are traveling to as a matter of course on a weekly basis, and safety versus capacity does need to be looked into. And to my mind, hats off to the Indian regulator for taking a strict stance on this. Thank you so much for watching Think Tank this week.